David Brooks writes in the New York Times. He's a conservative writer. And I have been saying all along that he's a knucklehead. And Barack Obama has disagreed. He's fawned over him for all this time. Invites him over to the White House. Is always like, oh, did I get your approval, David? Did I get your approval? Oh, because he's a moderate Republican who writes for the New York Times. His approval must be sought. Well, let's see. Who was right and who was wrong? Well, it turns out there's one person who agrees with me that David Brooks was a knucklehead, and that is David Brooks. So after saying all along that Donald Trump couldn't win and joining the rest of the media and laughing it off, he realized, oops, turns out Donald Trump could win the Republican primary and did win the Republican primary. So he's doing a little, soul searching. So let me read you what he wrote in regards to that in the New York Times. He says, I was surprised by Trump's success because I've slipped into a bad pattern, spending large chunks of my life in the bourgeoisie strata. You know you're in the bourgeoisie when you write strata. Anyway, in professional circles with people with similar status and demographics to my own. It takes an active will to rip yourself out of that and go where you feel least comfortable. So after writing for decades as this brilliant commentator, you just realized what we've been saying all along, which is that all you do is hang out with your millionaire buddies, and you guys all go to the same cocktail parties, and you all say, oh, I do declare our taxes are far too high, right? All agreed indeed. I shall write an article in the New York Times about how taxes are far too unbearable and high. So that's why we had to move our money to the Cayman Islands. And now you realize, oh my God, it turns out not all Americans go to that cocktail party. That most of them, by the way, he doesn't get to this part. Well, he kind of almost does. What we've been saying all along, which is most Americans actually kind of hate that cocktail party and hate everybody in that cocktail party. So let's just keep it real on that too. But now, okay, but let's keep on going with his awakening. He says, but this column is going to try to do that over the next months and years. We all have some responsibility to do one activity that leaps across the chasms of segmentation that afflict this country. Okay, so he's saying after having written this column for all these years, I'm finally going to try to talk to some real Americans. Why, thank you. Are you not merciful, David Brooks? So he realizes, oh, there's a Trump phenomenon. By the way, David, I got a news for you. There's also a Sanders phenomenon. And the ones on the left are also pissed. You'll probably write about that 4 years from now. Oh my God, it turns out there's a lot of progressives who are mad in the country. Well, they weren't at my cocktail party either. How did Bernie Sanders, with no name recognition, a guy that you all dismissed, he made up a 60-point lead in the national polling in 1 year. Now, look, it looks like he's likely to lose by a narrow margin. Hillary Clinton doesn't even have enough pledged delegates to win all the way to the convention, okay? She's going to need the superdelegates. Now, she's going to have more pledged delegates than Bernie, but she needs the superdelegates to get to a majority. That's amazing. Hillary Clinton has all the name recognition in the world. She has the entire Democratic Party on her side. Yet, even at this late juncture, David Brooks is willing to recognize, oh, some people on the right might be mad, and maybe I didn't understand what was going on. The left, no. Oh, shh, 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 shh. Don't talk about liberal concerns. All right, let's keep going on Trump. He says, 75% of Trump voters say that life has gotten worse for people like them over the last half century. He finds this surprising. Oh, God, man. Of course. Because once you get out of your New York, D.C. bubble, people are pissed. Look, we've got our reporter on the going all over the country, Jordan Chariton. It's on youtube.com/TYTpolitics. You watch all those people that he interviews. The recent one he did in Indiana, right? People are like, look, man, we're not getting the same wages. We got crushed in 2008. We never got back to where we were. But the dad works, the mom works, everybody works. They don't know how to take care of the kids with all the work they got to do. Everybody's at minimum wage, and you just can't make enough money. But no one in these strata, if you will, in New York and D.C. sees that. So, like, for David Brooks, he's like being so magnanimous. I will now go talk to regular human beings every once in a while. And we're supposed to, like, thank him for that, right? I mean, how does Barack Obama not read this and go, oh, God damn it, I should have never been listening to him? It turns out all these pundits in the media, in the mainstream media, never knew what they were talking about. They never knew it. They never understood it. All right, but I got more for you. Brooks continues. Many people, as the writers David and Amber Lamp note, feel pervasively betrayed by for-profit job training outfits that left them awash in debt, by spouses and step-parents, by people who collect federal benefits but don't work. They've stopped even expecting loyalty from their employers. The big flashing lights say no trust. That leads to an everyone out for himself mentality and Trump's politics of suspicion. We'll need a communitarianism now. Okay, two amazing things in there. First of all, again, the fact that any of this is surprising to them. He's like, they don't even trust their employers. Man, you really do live in an unbelievably privileged bubble. It's a newsflash to you that a lot of Americans don't trust their employers, that they've been getting crushed and steamrolled by those guys all this time, and they've seen executive pay go through the roof. They've seen them do every tax trick in the book to make sure that they get more and everybody else gets less, and that their wages have been brought further and further down, and the fact that they are not getting the gains of their productivity, they're working their ass off, but they're not getting, that's news to you. That's news to you, you brilliant pundit of the New York Times. The second thing is, we'll need a communitarianism. Communitarianism. It almost sounds like communism. No, not communism, not socialism, not Bernie Sanders. What do you mean communitarianism? Yeah, schmuck, that's what we've been telling you all along. We need to work together as a community. It shouldn't be everybody out for themselves. Hey, perhaps it's not such a bad thing if one American looks out for another American and says, hey, how can we all get to a better place together? But newsflash to the New York Times and David Brooks. Finally, he says, then solidarity can be rekindled nationally. Over the course of American history, national projects like the railroad legislation, the WPA, and the NASA project have bound this diverse nation. Of course, such projects can happen again, maybe through a national service program or something else. Wait a minute. Haven't we been saying all along that the government should invest in America, that they should do these projects, whether it's infrastructure projects or other big projects to make sure that we're taking it to the next level and that people get employed and that it would stimulate the economy? But at the time, people like David Brooks were like, oh, no, socialism. A stimulus package, way too high. No way. Don't do it. No. Everybody out for themselves. Ayn Rand is awesome, right? Now, belatedly, now that Trump has won on the Republican side and you didn't like him, you wanted like another guy you can control better and that the donors can control better. The donor class at the cocktail parties declares, oh, yes, perhaps we should go talk to the plebeians. The masses, they're so unwashed. I know, no, keep your distance, but go talk to them, converse with them every once in a while, and see what they're up to. Perhaps we should try a little communitarianism. Yeah, once again, no shit, Sherlock. So why don't you just, the next article, why don't you just write, hey, sorry, I was wrong about everything for my entire career, and the progressives were right. My bad.